No Matter What, The 10 Commitments of Accountability by Sam Silverstein. I'm your narrator, Rich Germain. Preface. Accountability is the toughest subject I have ever studied. I've been doing this for 25 years, and every day I discover a new depth and a new understanding of accountability. I was 10 years into studying the basis for individual and organizational improvement before I even identified that accountability was the foundation. It was another 10 years before I was able to move past the side of accountability that is filled with statements like, "I'm going to hold them accountable," "I need my people to be more accountable," and "I wish people would just do what they say they're going to do." All of these statements connect to the physical. They connect to doing. They connect to using accountability as a whip to get people to work harder, do more, and produce more money for someone. Accountability is not a physical subject. The purpose of this book is to explore the spirit of people and the spirit of an organization as it is defined by the accountable leader. Accountability is not a way of doing. Accountability is a way of thinking. This single statement alone opens the locker to the depth of what accountability really can be in the life of a person and of an organization. When we stop focusing on doing and turn our attention to what we are thinking, then real transformation occurs. We grow beyond the way we currently think, and a different outcome is produced in our life and our organizations. Accountability is not about the tasks, reports, job descriptions, and deadlines. Accountability is about how you think about people. The real power in accountability is revealed in the connections between people, the relationships that flourish when commitments are made and kept. You will never be accountable to someone if you do not have a relationship with them. The most accountable people I see are masters of building relationships. The most accountable organizations we work with have created a culture where relationships are strong. The dictionary defines accountability as an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. Simplified, accountability is keeping your commitments to people. You are not accountable to things. You are accountable to people. Accountability is a choice. It is a choice that each and every person must make for themselves. You cannot force someone to be accountable. You cannot demand that people are accountable and get a positive result. As individuals, we have to make an active decision that we want to live an accountable life. We have to decide that we want the rich relationships that both produce accountability and flow from living a life of accountability. This desire is encoded into our character. Our character is either one by design, where we have taken the time to think about what we believe and value, what those values mean to us, what the foundation for our values is, and how our values show up in our daily life. Or we have a character by default, and we do none of that. Accountability is keeping your commitments to people. In an organization, we can create a place where people want to be accountable. We do that through the organizational culture. Like with an individual's character, an organization's culture is either one by default, in which anything goes, or one by design. When an organizational culture is one by design, it has been defined by the organizational values. This journey has transformed my life, and it can transform your life too. When I started to think differently about accountability, I started to make different decisions. I started to act differently. I began to get different results. I see people differently, and I see myself differently. My view on what is possible for the people around me has expanded greatly. And guess what? My view on what is possible for me in my life has exploded with potential. I did not see it coming, but I know that if you embrace the 10 commitments that I share in this book, you will discover the same or greater possibilities in your life and in the lives of people around you also. Meaningful transformation does not happen because we change what we do. This is a common trap into which people and companies fall. They do not like the results they are getting, so they say, "It is time to do things differently." Or they say, "I have to start changing how I do things." We frequently see this around the first of the year. People make New Year's resolutions. The diet and fitness industries are dependent on this. Diet book sales zoom, and fitness club memberships skyrocket in January. The reason we eventually change back to our old way of being or doing is because we tried to change our actions without addressing the underlying way of thinking that is necessary to achieve the real transformation we desire. When we change how we think, then we will change what we do. Only then can we achieve real, lasting transformation. The clients that we work with who want to be better but fail in the process are always the ones that are focused on changing behavior. They try to mandate different procedures, and they demand certain actions. On the other hand, the clients who are highly successful in the transformation they seek are always the ones who embrace the reality that it is what they are thinking that is either holding them back or moving them forward. They look to adjust, change, and expand how they think so that they can grow and improve. Yes, it means saying, "How I am thinking is not right or is not serving us to the best possible effort," and saying that what you are doing is not working is easier than admitting that what you believe and think is wrong. Accountability is the highest form of leadership. When it comes to leadership, we traditionally focus on all the wrong things. It's time to change that. Great communication skills will not make you a great leader, and not having great communication skills will not keep you from being a great leader. Charisma does not make you a great leader. History is filled with charismatic people who championed evil, hatred, and negative causes. Accountability is the highest form of leadership. You don't have to have a certain personality to be a leader. It does not matter if you are gregarious or if you are soft-spoken. Leadership is an understanding. It is a way of thinking, not a way of doing. When you think a certain way, something happens. That something is a direct flow from what a leader is thinking. What leaders think about is the people they lead, their community, and what is right and wrong. Leadership is not about developing your personal skills, telling better stories, dressing a certain way, or saying common leadership catchphrases. Leadership is always and forevermore about the people you lead. It is about developing your people, not yourself. And while there is nothing wrong with growing as a person, great leaders focus on taking what they learn and using it to help their people grow. Leaders are always thinking about their people. This is where accountability comes in, because accountability is about the commitments between people. The accountable leader makes 10 very specific commitments to the people they lead. This not only applies to leadership in a company, but it applies to leadership in one's family and community as well. Accountability is always going to be about your heart, not your head. We learn in school how to do. Every course that I took in college was connected to how to do something. I took courses on how to do marketing, how to do management, how to do accounting, how to do finance, and how to do customer service. But accountability is about what is in your heart. This is a significant deviation from all the business tactics that are taught. But guess what? Everyone knows all of those tactics, and they can take you and your company only so far. What is in your heart is unique to you, and that is what you connect to people through. It is through your heart that you will build an army of people who will stand by your side on the darkest of days to ensure you are successful. The 10 commitments of accountability come from the leader. They go from leadership to the people they lead, and then back from the people they lead to leadership. It is not the other way around. Leadership cannot go in there and demand that this happens from their employees without them doing it first. The only time you become a leader is when you are accountable. You become accountable when you are committed. There are 10 commitments of accountability. 1. Commitment to the truth. 2. Commitment to what we value. 3. Commitment to it's all of us. 4. Commitment to stand with you when all hell breaks loose. 5. Commitment to the faults and failures as well as the opportunities and successes. 6. Commitment to sound financial principles. 7. Commitment to helping individuals achieve their potential and be their best. 8. Commitment to a safe place to work. 9. Commitment to your word is your bond. 10. Commitment to a good reputation. This is at the core of what leadership is. If the leader is doing it, then everyone will do it. Leadership is the power and ability to lead people. Leadership is beyond the physical. It is a power. It is a spiritual thing. Leadership is directly connected to valuing people, building relationships with people, committing to people, and always putting the people you lead before yourself. Just because someone holds a position does not make that person a leader. Just because you are the CEO of a company does not mean that you are accountable, or that you tell the truth, or that you have sound financial principles, or that your word is your bond. It is not the position that tells us that. It is only when you walk the walk that your accountability becomes evident, and you can walk the walk without a title or position. When you acknowledge that leadership is a responsibility and that you are first and foremost responsible for the people you lead, you are on your way to becoming an accountable leader. When you commit to your people and put them first, they know it, and they will respond in a powerful way. They win, and guess what? You win too. The 10 commitments of accountability are all about this journey of valuing people and committing to them, no matter what. Introduction. What is a commitment? I'm good with ideas. We all have strengths, and creating ideas is mine. I come up with ideas for my friends to utilize both personally and professionally. I formulate ideas that my clients can use in their organizations, and I create ideas that apply to my business. Over the years, I have formulated a lot of great ideas that have made a significant difference for the people around me and for myself. When I look at the decisions I regret most in my personal or my professional life, I realize that I do not regret any decisions to try something new. What I regret is that I did not stick with some of those ideas. I regret not being committed to those ideas to the point of seeing them through to success. I honestly believe that I have given up on many ideas that, if I had been sincerely committed to them, could and should have led to significant success. It does sadden me to think of some of the opportunities I have missed out on because of a lack of commitment. Today, I am very careful about which creative ideas I take on. Just because something is a good idea does not mean that it is right for me. I know this, and I find that if I am selective in what I take on, my time and energy is focused, I am committed, and more often than not, I achieve success. Having experienced a lack of positive outcomes that result from not being committed has taught me to be choosy in what I commit to, and, when I do commit, to go all in and make it happen. A commitment unleashes power and potential. There is a power that comes with commitment. What is that power? Power is a force you cannot see. It always produces results, and it is 100% guaranteed. The power of commitment will not fail you. Whatever you are committed to will produce a result for you. The fact that you are committed creates positive results. That is the power. The power of commitment is transformational. It can transform us, the people around us, our organizations, and even our world. Commitment unleashes potential. It allows you to become your best. One of the greatest transformations that commitment produces is the development of your character. A commitment involves challenges and sacrifices. Commitments are not easy. Your accountability will often be tested by challenges and conflicts. Are you going to keep your commitment even in the face of personal loss, in the midst of a crisis, or when it is not in your best interest to do so? A commitment has to do with character. Everyone is committed when it is easy, but when a conflict shows up, so does the truth about whether or not you are committed. This is where your accountability is manifested. This is where your character is developed. Just as a plant has to push through the earth to see the sun and grow, we too have to push through our challenges and conflicts and keep our commitments. It is in those moments that we grow as people. That blade of grass you see outside is pushing up through earth that is much heavier than itself. It is not easy. The plant goes through enormous stress to surface from the ground. Pushing through is not easy for plants, and it is not easy for us. Yes, we will have stress. Yes, we will have to work hard. And yes, we will be able to persevere and make it. In that moment that we overcome a difficulty to keep a commitment, we become something else, something better, and something that will never go back. Not only are commitments not easy, life is not easy. Anyone who achieves greatness and significance has made tremendous sacrifices. A sacrifice is serious. A sacrifice is not giving something up that is extra or unnecessary. It is giving up something important in order to do or achieve something that is of even greater significance. We do not always see those sacrifices. We just see success on television or in the news and forget what went into it. That sacrifice always came because of some sort of commitment. The athlete committed to spending hours each day for years to develop his skill set. The doctor committed to spending hours each day for years learning about medicine. The entrepreneur, with seemingly overnight success, committed to spending years learning her trade and building a business in anonymity before achieving the success that we get to see. A commitment is no matter what. When we define accountability as keeping one's commitments to people, it is easy to look past the word commitment. It is easy to think, oh yeah, I know what a commitment is. Everyone knows what a commitment is. It is when you say yes or I will or maybe even I do. The reality is that people view commitments differently. Commitment is an incredibly powerful word. Without defining what a commitment is, we would undermine the definition of accountability. A commitment is no matter what. Just because you hit tough times does not mean you need to move on or that it's time to quit. Just because something is hard does not mean you should do something else. Where is the commitment in that? A commitment is a pledge. It is a promise. It is not a maybe or a hopefully or a probably. It is an absolute. It is a no matter what. A commitment is no matter what. There is a seriousness in making a commitment. There is another level of commitment where it gets into your DNA, where you do not even think about the possibility of not doing it. This is the level of no matter what. This is the level that a true leader and accountable person reaches. This definition of commitment will totally change the way you see everything. No matter what has become my personal mantra. When you see everything through this lens, conviction takes on an entirely new meaning. What is possible expands because you're not going to give up along the way. Relationships are deepened because the people around you know that you have their back, always and every time. That is because it is a no matter what. When you take the position of no matter what, you're not looking to hedge. You're all in. You will never be looking for a way out. You will only seek a way in. When you take the position of no matter what, you develop a reputation for being reliable. Everyone around you knows where you stand in any situation. They know they can depend on you regardless of circumstances, and this frees them to focus on moving forward. When they know they can depend on you, you will discover that you can also depend on them. It becomes mutual. There is a power that comes with a commitment. In any situation and in any relationship, there are only three possible positions to take: no, maybe, and yes. No is obvious. Maybe means it is possible, but it also means it might not be possible or will not happen. When our children were younger, they would ask my wife, Renee, if they could do something or if we could go somewhere. Sometimes the answer would be yes, and sometimes the answer would be no. Many times the answer was maybe. Maybe meant the door was open, but it was not guaranteed. Actually, maybe was usually code for I do not want to say no, so I'm saying maybe, but most likely the answer will end up being no, though it is still possible. Over time, when the kids heard Renee say maybe, they came to learn what it meant and would respond, oh, that means no. The real problem is when someone says yes, but it really is a maybe. This is not a commitment. This is someone who is not reliable. And over time, people come to know that a yes from that person does not mean yes, because the person is not reliable. His or her credibility suffers. They lose the personal power that comes from a reputation of no matter what. Are you looking for a way out, or are you looking for a way in? Yes is a commitment, and a commitment is no matter what. When you take this position, you will move heaven and earth to make it happen. This means your commitments make you a far more powerful individual, not only in the eyes of the people around you, but also in your actual ability to make something happen. When people know you are committed to them, the power of a commitment grows even stronger. The people to whom you commit know that you believe in them, that you trust them, that you want them to succeed, and that you meet their needs before your own. This is the way an accountable person and a great leader operates. Leaders are guarded with what they say. They think before they speak. When they do speak, what they say is based on what they believe and value. They do not just spout off randomly. They know what they are saying. A leader always remembers what they say. Part of commitment is being careful to remember what you say and agree to. Not remembering that you promised to do something is not an acceptable excuse for not doing it. People who live, no matter what, are guarded by what they say and are not moved by the moment. They make their decisions and promises based on what they really believe, feel, and can deliver on. A commitment requires honesty and transparency. Honesty and transparency are the core of keeping your commitments. In a work environment, people do not easily commit to people they do not know and trust. Leaders get to know the people they lead and allow those people to get to know them in return. When leaders are transparent, you have the opportunity to get to know them. Do the people in your organization or in your life know you? Do they really know you? Your belief in a cause or mission may be enough for you to sacrifice for people you are working to support or whose lives you are helping to improve. You give from your heart, and you want to make a difference. It does not matter that you do not know the specific people. You know the cause. You know the challenges they face. You know the difference in their lives that you can make. But in an organization, you may not sacrifice for someone you do not know. It is only when you know someone that you can care for him or her. The real key is that leaders always care for their people first. An important person in my organization is my assistant, Sharon. We have daily discussions on accountability, both organizationally and personally. We study the subject, develop depth to our philosophies, work with clients to help leaders in their organizations, and write speeches. It has not always been smooth sailing. Early on, we did not really know how to communicate with each other, and by early on, I'm talking about for 3+ years. We were constantly at each other's throats. Sharon could not believe that I did not fire her, and I could not believe that she did not quit. It was that rough sometimes. The thing is that we knew each other. We knew each other's families. We knew each other's values. We were both committed to building a more accountable world. Sharon was committed to me and my mission, and I was committed to her. We worked through those tough years and have built a wonderful friendship and developed a powerful ability to work together as a result. I know that she would always be there for me, and I believe she feels the same way. A commitment requires consistency, clarity, and equality. When you have a track record of no matter what, there is a consistency. Your actions are always consistent with your words. It is that consistency of no matter what that becomes a significant part of the underpinning of your character. To have a commitment, there has to be clarity. You have to know what it is that you are really committing to. You have to know the impact and the importance of the commitment. It is moving when you commit to something meaningful and deliver on that commitment. People commit because they want to be part of something positive. They want to be part of something that is bigger than them. They have a desire to be better. They want to contribute to a relationship and the betterment of someone else. Organizations have the ability to offer all of that through their values. Employees are expected to live out the values. Whatever the leader is willing to commit to, the employees will commit to. It becomes a reciprocal commitment. A commitment has to do with equality. It has to do with fairness. When you're talking about an accountable culture, it cannot be one-sided. When we work with an organization, we always find that if people in that organization are not being accountable, the leader isn't being accountable in the first place. It always starts with that leader. We always look at what leadership might be doing, or if there are challenges, flaws, or weaknesses in the leadership. The truth may hurt, but it is the truth. Once we find those things that can be improved upon within the leadership, leadership can make changes. If leadership will get better, their team will get better. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Our best clients are those clients where the leader says, "I want to get better," and then they are consistent about sharing that knowledge with the people they lead. They are saying, "If I am better at the same time that my team is getting better, then we are getting better as an organization." Like I said, if the leader commits, then everyone else is going to commit. Without commitment, what do you have? You have uncertainty and instability. There is doubt and inconsistency. None of these things produce an environment in which people enjoy working or that fosters tremendous success. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Without commitment, people do not bond. Relationships are key to communication and success. The organizations with the best relationships will outperform their competition every time. People working together, helping each other, and having each other's backs creates a high productivity environment. It also creates a place where people like to work, which leads to great customer service and exceptional performance. It will not be like this without a unilateral commitment to the company's values. A commitment requires courage. It takes courage to commit. People have a hard time with what is not known. When you make a commitment, you do not always know how it's going to play out. You do not know what obstacles will come up. You do not know what possible opportunities you may have to say no to in order to keep your commitment. Commitments are not always safe. People often worry about what they're going to have to give up when they commit. A lot of people like to be safe, and commitment can be risky business. Ask people if they're doing their dream job, and most times the answer will be no. This is because people tend to play it safe. Playing it safe is what holds people back. We are talking about risk, and people are usually risk-averse. What they do not understand is that through the commitment, they will receive far more than what they may give up. Not committing is the easy way out. Not committing does not take fortitude. It does not take consistency. You do not have to pay a price in time, energy, or possible lost opportunity. You avoid the tough decisions when you do not commit. In taking the easy way out, you lose all opportunity for personal growth, development, and gain. A commitment brings freedom and other positive qualities. At the level of no matter what, there is freedom. You are a slave to nothing and no one. The power that flows through you at the level of no matter what allows you total freedom to follow your beliefs and do what you know to be right. Positive qualities are produced in our lives when we commit. Those qualities are trust, respect, loyalty, credibility, influence, and accountability. In addition, we are able to build more meaningful relationships. Even friendship and love are produced when you are willing to commit. If you would not want any of these traits in your life or in the organization at which you work, speak now or forever hold your peace. Exactly. Trust, respect, loyalty, and the other high-performance qualities allow us to operate at a high level in our lives and in our organizations. And we see people and companies all the time that lack in these areas. They are the people with whom we do not want to hang out, and the companies at which we do not enjoy working or which we will not recommend to our friends and family. Commitment is not a way of doing, it is a way of thinking. A commitment is something you give. My commitment to you is not based on whether you keep your commitment to me. That would make my commitment conditional. My commitment is no matter what. This is not a tactical subject. This is not a way of doing. This is a way of thinking. It is permanent. It is absolute. Most people are looking for options. They're looking for an easy out clause, and in case something comes up, people want wiggle room. But it can't be that way. Accountability is not a way of doing. Accountability is a way of thinking. Commitment is not a way of doing. Commitment is a way of thinking. A way of thinking will always produce a result, and when it comes to accountability and commitment, that result is incredibly positive and unbelievably powerful. A commitment requires passion. In order for people to be committed to something, they need to be inspired and passionate. They have to have a reason to commit. The inspiration comes from the leader. Everything flows from the head. Whatever the head is committed to is going to impact the direction that the organization goes. Whatever the leader is consistent and steady with is the direction in which the organization will go. So if the leader is wishy-washy, the organization will be wishy-washy. If the leader is focused, the organization will be focused. And what the leader focuses on, the organization will focus on. If the leader focuses on his or her people, then the people will focus on people. People inside the organization as well as people outside the organization, such as clients and the community. Not everyone is a leader. A person has to accept the responsibility of leadership to start to become a leader. Leaders are first and foremost responsible for the people they lead. That responsibility has to be accepted in order to be a leader. The leader's passion is what helps create the inspiration in the people they lead. Leaders communicate their passion very well. That passion attracts people who are inspired and who become committed. What's a no matter what in your life? When you determine what that is, you gain clarity, and that allows you to focus on moving forward. The power of commitment, no matter what, will free you and empower you. No matter what, will change your life. Chapter 1. Commitment to the Truth. Accountability and truth go together. Accountability and lying never go together. Lack of truth, fake news, and alternative facts are flooding us. This barrage of false information has eroded accountability in our society. You cannot have accountable people unless there is a foundation of truth. That truth, for an individual, is defined by our values and reflected in our character. As people, we become known for our character. Truth is a whole lot deeper than the facts in a situation. Just like an individual's truth is defined by his or her values, The truth inside of an organization is defined by the organization's set of values. The values become the standard, the foundation by which everyone in the organization is living. The values establish the boundaries. They say, "This is how we do it here. This is our truth." When there is a lack of truth, it shows up in both lies and deception. While both of these are negative and destroy accountability, there is a difference between the two. Truth is deeper than facts. People lie to keep themselves out of trouble. Children sometimes say they did their homework even though they did not do it, so they will not get punished. People inside of an organization may lie to buy time. They may say that something is done, even though it has not been completed, thinking that they will get the task done before anyone discovers their neglect. No one telling a lie ever thinks they are going to get caught in a lie, but they do. Lies are only part of deception. Deception is dark, manipulative, and lacks transparency. Someone deceiving someone else is trying to get something that should not be theirs. There is no scenario where deception is good. Deception is focused on trying to get someone to do something. There is a manipulation that is taking place. This can be a much more sinister situation than simply lying. When a person tries to get someone else fired so he or she can take the other person's job, deception is taking place. When people are being manipulated and an end goal is in play for the person who is deceiving everyone else, then that is deception. Lying is about covering your tracks. Deception involves manipulation and some sort of personal gain, and both destroy accountability. There can be no accountability if lying or deception is present. It is scientifically impossible. In other words, accountability cannot happen without the truth. You have to have a foundation on what is true, right, and just. You also, at all times, have to live that foundation that you have proclaimed is true. And in addition to that, in every situation, you must tell the truth. Accountability cannot happen without the truth. We want the truth to be on our own terms, but it just is not. The truth is the truth. We cannot decide what is true. We can and must live and tell the truth, and when we do that, we become known for being a person of truth. Being a person of truth becomes a significant part of how our character is defined. Exaggeration is a lack of truth. It is a non-truth. In other words, exaggeration is lying. Now, you may not be intending to deceive people, but if it is not true, then it has to be a lie. There is no middle ground. There is no gray area. There is only black and white. There is truth, and there are lies. You choose which to live in your life. You choose your foundation, and ultimately you become known for what you stand for. How do you find your foundation? This is a timeless question that has been asked millions of times throughout history. One time, the evening before a speech of mine had been scheduled, some of the leaders of the organization invited me to dinner with them. During the dinner, I gave them an overview of what I was going to be discussing the following day in my presentation. We talked about values, non-negotiables, and of course accountability. I will never forget one of the people who sat at the table. His name is Larry. Larry was facing some challenges in his business, and I addressed them. I spoke to the values that he lived his life by and used as the basis for running his company. Then Larry asked a question that I did not expect. He asked, "What if you do not know what you believe?" That question haunted me then, and it haunts me to this day. It haunted me because it had not crossed my mind that there are people, lots of people, who do not have clarity in what they believe. I struggled and did a lousy job of answering the question in the moment. Since that time, I have spent endless hours contemplating that question, thinking about my life and how I came to hold the set of beliefs that I have. If I were answering that question today, I would say that it is critical that we set aside the time to think about what we believe. We must be purposeful in our thoughts and reflections. For most of us, our belief system and foundation starts in the teachings of our parents and other adults in our lives. Over time, we take on the responsibility to determine just what foundation we want to build our life on. Through our life, we are impacted through three opportunities: experiences, events, and evidence. Experience is simply what we have encountered in our life and the lessons we learn from those experiences. Events may include events in our lifetime or those that happened in the past. The Holocaust is an event from which we can draw to determine what is right and wrong. The Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s, 1960s, and beyond is an event filled with teachings for us to draw from. And there's evidence we discover in our life that following a specific belief system helps us move in the direction we want to go. This is a personal journey, and one filled with opportunities to connect with the values that we can live out in our life. There has to be a consistency in testing your foundation. What you do consistently delivers a result. If I run for 5 days a week, then over time I gain fitness, speed, and the ability to perform in road races at a competitive level. Making decisions consistently with your foundation will, likewise, deliver a result. If you have the right foundation, that consistency will deliver a very positive result for you. Transparency will exhibit truth. Accountability cannot be present without transparency. Transparency creates confidence, trust, and loyalty in people. Confidence shows up in people believing that they can do anything. This confidence is what helps separate high-performance organizations from ordinary ones. Trust builds relationships. Better relationships lead to better communication, increased teamwork, and superior cooperation. Ultimately, transparency leads to loyalty. People want to stay and be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. Loyalty produces greater efficiency, lower operating costs, and greater profitability inside of an organization. In your personal life, loyalty produces friends and family who will always be by your side and who will always be accountable to you. When my cousin was 19, he came to live with us. His situation at home was not good, and he needed to be in a place where he was loved, nurtured, and encouraged. My parents took him in and did just that. As my parents aged, my cousin was always there to lend a helping hand. Many years later, he still visits and has breakfast with my mother every Saturday morning. There is a loyalty there that can never be broken. He has maintained an accountability to my mother and to us, his adopted siblings. Truth lasts forever. You can depend on the truth because it does not change. You can depend on a culture where truth is consistently present. You cannot depend on a person who accepts less than the truth. People who seek truth want only truth and do not want anything else around them. They don't want BS. They're not afraid of being told the truth. They love the truth, and they don't want to associate with anything that is not the truth or with people who accept less than the truth. What happens to people who don't want to hear the truth? What happens to their organization? What happens to people when they want their egos stroked? What happens is that the view of the organization becomes distorted. The view of the company's people becomes distorted. The view of what their people can accomplish becomes distorted. There is a false picture of where they are individually and organizationally. This false picture leads to bad decisions, and those bad decisions lead to a less than favorable outcome. When people don't want to hear the truth, they inevitably lead themselves and the people around them in the wrong direction. This is a recipe for failure. The truth produces something. It produces a freedom. We have all heard the expression, the truth will set you free. This actually originates in the New Testament. The book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. What does this mean? Free from what? What will that freedom allow you to do? What happens if you do not have that freedom? The reality is that truth frees you to be you. The standard by which you live your life is the truth that guides you. You make your decisions based on this standard. You are free to move forward because you know how to make decisions, what your decisions are based on, and that the decisions you make, if based on your standard, will always be the right decision. The truth produces a freedom. Lies hold you back. The truth enables you to progress forward. Deception holds you back. The truth frees you. Truth is pure. The truth allows you to do what is right, treat people right, make the right decision, and create a place where you and the others around you want to be. Lying changes you physically. The act of telling a lie can be seen in brain scans. Lying raises blood pressure and increases respiration and perspiration. A lie detector test gauges a physical change in your body. Those increases in blood pressure and respiration are not good. Lying is not good physically, and it certainly is not good emotionally. You are different because of that lie. The same types of things happen to an organization's spirit when the truth is not present. The culture of an organization will be negatively impacted when it lacks truth, and it will be transformed for the better when it consistently hears the truth. There is always an impact to the culture. The culture of an organization is either a culture by design or it is a culture by default. A culture based on truth creates truth. People respond differently when they are in a culture where truth is present versus one where lying and deception are present. The leader of an organization has the ability to control this. The leader has the ability to stand up for the truth and eliminate those people who are not willing to honor the truth. That is part of the leader's responsibility, to protect the culture by protecting the truth. Remember, the truth in an organization is defined by its values. Protecting the values protects the truth and the culture it creates. The leader must protect the organization's culture by protecting the truth. A commitment to the truth by an individual will produce integrity, character, and respect. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "Character is destiny, so you create your future through your character, and your character is created through truth. Truth will create a much different future for you than lying and deceit. Truth will produce a future filled with great relationships, meaning, and purpose. It is not the truth simply because you believe it. Truth is truth. Seeking truth, teaching truth, and only telling the truth will produce something wonderful in your life. Committing to the truth, no matter what, is the first step to living an accountable life.